We're alive. We're actually live. Welcome everyone. It's been a while since we've had a little live stream for you guys in front of a live studio audience. Welcome to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here is Brit. Oh my goodness, Brit! It feels so good to actually kind of put this on a Monday for once.
I know we have
feels almost different.
Yeah, a different world lately. It feels like so.
Indeed, it
Well,
has.
hockey would just start. Things would all be well.
That's exactly right, man. I just wish it would finally happen.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer. Every day is one day closer. So
No, I looked at our forecast and it was like high 70s, low 80s, and I'm like, my time's coming. And then there was like a 100 at the end of the week, and I was like, ugh, I hate it. These are like the dog days of summer for me. I have like a 2-week span at the end of summer and a 2-week span at the end of winter where I'm just a miserable human being. It's just too much weather for me. So
I totally can understand that. Yep, I relate to that 100%. But sometimes, and this is what happens, is sometimes when the weather changes, that's kind of when I get sick. And most times, yeah, like I had my tonsils removed like when I was 11 and 12 years old or so. But now every time I get sick, it's like a sinus infection. But that only happens when it's like, they say the barometric pressure drops or whatever. But
it's totally a thing. My knees hurt, and we always get like a wicked cold too. Mac and I just got over being sick, and like my knee has been hurting, and I'm just like, this is God's way of saying like you're getting old, Brit, because my knee's been killing me the last 2 weeks. So yes, it is
exactly right.
Screaming.
Yep. Well, we welcome everyone to the Cluster Puck Podcast. Like we said, before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows just like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. We have shows every day of the week.
Sometimes I accidentally make an appearance on them. I just joined the wrong podcast.
That's right. That's right. And I think we have a brand new one starting pretty soon.
A lot of them. A lot of Broncos.
That's right. Keep your eye on them. I think it's called Orange Mountain. Don't quote me on that, and I apologize to these guys if I did get it wrong. But Orange Mountain, I think, is
and they're I didn't even see. We'll have to talk to Mike about it. But they were posting there on a different. That one of the podcasts is on a different show with someone else, like a live radio network or something. We'll have to look into it and hit it up next week because it sounded interesting.
Yeah, huge. So huge
news.
Lot
of Broncos drama to discuss all the time.
There really is, and the preseason, obviously, for the NFL's kicked off.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson looks like he's already in mid-season forms.
Yeah, I told my dad I promised to be more invested, so I wouldn't just talk nonstop hockey. I would try for the Broncos this year, but wow, there's a lot of people to keep up with, and I eat the food at football events, and I know enough about football to just talk smack mostly, but I'm going to try this year, but I don't know if my brain can handle much more Colorado sports.
No, I can definitely understand that. So, and then if you like us specifically, let's just to finish up the boring stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
You can like us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, X.
It feels Instagram. Kind of like an adult app on my phone. Whenever I see the X on it,
I know you just see this big white X on this black background, and you're like,
call it X. Yeah.
Fun. That's fun.
Yeah, it feels perverse for some reason. But that's Elon Musk just wants to make everyone uncomfortable. So you can find us on Twitter X.
Twitter X, and obviously Instagram, and Threads. Okay, so let's kind of jump into this stuff. But before we do, this happened just this morning. They
a leak, isn't it?
Or was it official? I don't know if it was a leak, but it sounded like it was official because the Avalanche posted it. NHL themselves posted it.
Maselli was talking about it last night, but I think that they recorded last night. So it was leaked last night, and I missed that, I guess.
Yep. Anyways, Cale Makar, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be your cover athlete for the new NHL 24 video game that will be available As you can see, the full reveal is going to be here in a couple of days, but the game itself should be coming later next month, if I'm not mistaken.
We heard a discussion regarding him being generational, and they're like, "Well,"
and that's just it. They said they were discussing. They said, "Okay, we got Kachuk, Makar, and McDavid. Which one should we pick here?" And they listened to our podcast clearly.
And my God, are the comments salty. I did not know that there was people other than like Jared McCann's mom that hated Cale Makar. Holy cow, the people are mad. When people talk about Makar poorly, I just take it really personal. Like I've said it before, you can hate McKinnon and I get it, but if you hate Makar, well, you're not my people. And there's a lot of people that think that it sounds like Eichel and Kachuk are kind of the loudest whiners in the comments, but they could. I think it's a great picture. I think they could have picked better, but he should have had it last year.
Yeah, he absolutely should have. And what is it? Forsberg was the last, or was it Sakic? Was the last one to be on the cover.
There was something, I don't remember what it was. Some situation that it had gotten changed at one point. Man, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, Sakic and Forsberg are the only others. Did you see there was a Twitter post about, and I think Jay Fresh posted it, about how the player on the team that is on the NHL cover for that year, like never makes it past the second round or something like that, except for the Sakic year. So I'm curious. I don't really believe in curses like a ton, but I don't know if you saw that. I can't remember who.
It's so as an avid video game player myself, and obviously this is one that I will be buying the deluxe version, and I will be buying 1,000 copies of this deluxe version.
You still get a hard copy?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm old school, man. But anyways, to hear about this curse, to me, it's very similar to, I don't want to even say the President's Trophy, but like the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference when they win, right? Do they touch the trophy? Do they not touch the trophy? Yeah. You go back the last 10 years and it's like split right down the middle, meaning it doesn't make a hill of beans worth of difference if you touch the trophy or not.
Okay, so for everyone else, unfortunately, only 2 of the past 27 EA NHL cover players have made it past the first round the same season that they were featured on the cup. So, but also,
and I'm of the opinion that we'll make it past the first round. With our cover athlete. I think the curse, so to speak, gets broken.
Our curse year was last year. Like
that's exactly it. We got the curse out of the way first, and then we landed the cover athlete. So for those of you listening that aren't able to see, we have the cover pulled up. There's Cale Makar, EA Sports NHL 24, and he's got this super cool action shot where you can tell he is just going to be breaking someone's ankles on the other side of this. Just that action shot is so good.
So far on his edge that he's literally touching his toe to the ice. That's just
this just highlights Cale Makar's skating ability that we addressed last week. So I'm beyond excited to buy the game, first of all, but that finally the Avalanche have representation after
and he's just so not controversial. He's such, I mean, is there a more wholesome existence in the NHL when you balance talent to like notability? I mean, the best gif of him is him eating like a cookie on the bench. Like they need to market this kid. And that's like the whole thing is the NHL is all these guys are so boring and unmarketable. But like Cale is such a great role model and people want to throw the Canadian juniors scandal in. And it's already been proven he wasn't in the CHL. He literally wasn't even at the event that the scandal occurred. And it amazes me how bad people want to cling to that, acting like it's not proven. And it's like people just hate. People like to hate on the people that are just too likable almost, it's like McKinnon's too easy. It's gross, but I'm so happy for him. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more.
Nope, I
No bias.
100% agree. So big congratulations to Cale Makar. Awesome to have Avalanche representation. But just wanted to get that in because it was just fresh news as of today, like I said, and they'll have
Yeah.
more details here in a couple of days. Okay, so that being said, let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes here of the episode. So where do we want to begin here? I think let's go with this, Britt. You had posed the question as we were discussing topics for this week. You had posed the question about if there was an expansion draft, right? And
Yeah.
you right now,
the NHL is doing an expansion. They're adding a team, and I was just, and people were getting pissy because they hadn't released the protected people, which I never even thought that would be a whole thing for the USHL to like protect people. But I guess they have, I suppose modeling it after is probably the easiest way for them to do it. But I was thinking like they could like randomly announce an expansion, you know, within the next 2 years, within the realm of most of the contracts that we have, you know, within our cherished players. And so the last expansion for Seattle, we had Donskoy. We traded Graves to avoid, or was that Vegas?
I don't think we traded away Graves.
But I was just kind of thinking about the people that we hadn't protected. So we lost.
Right. I think Eric Johnson we left unprotected.
Yeah, and so it's a wait.
Grubauer was a free agent.
Yep.
I think anyone that was a free agent that year, I don't think we protected. I think that's what it was.
And so who else did we lost? We lost Picard to Vegas. Didn't they take Calvin Picard? They took one of our depth goalies, which I think he's lingering in LA now. He's actually an Iowa guy. He's from Iowa, so I kind of had a love for him. But I was just kind of thinking, like, who are those fringe guys at this point? Because I know everybody wants to get rid of Gerard, but that's not a contract that you want to lose in an expansion because it's such a good tradable contract, because it is very it's a high value contract for him. And so I was just kind of thinking, like, who are those fringe guys? And we don't have to go deep into it, but just our core is pretty thick. You know, we don't have, it's not like we've got McKinnon. Honestly, it'd be nice to have the expansion draft while Gabe was on LTIR so that we wouldn't, you know, it kind of changes how you protect people. But I don't know. So you can protect 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie, I believe is what it is. I'm double checking here. And player movements who have no movement clauses as a part of their contracts at the time of the expansion draft have to be protected by their franchise, and it'll count towards their, so like the no movement clauses don't count. And it comes down to basically they have to have had played so many games, blah, blah, blah. So basically you have to put some real players out there. Losing Donskoy kind of hurt. I mean, it was unfortunate that he left.
It was not fun.
It hurt. Yep. Otherwise, we definitely would have lost.
I think we might have had a little breakup there. Sometimes there we go. Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So we're protecting 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie. Is that the rule?
Yeah, and I would say looking at like the roster, as it's hard. I know with we haven't seen some of these guys even play. So kind of looking at the roster as it sits. Unfortunately, what I kind of came down to is some of those guys might be the guys that we just signed.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
So 7 forwards. I think the protect obviously is McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. I believe he'd fit in that category that you have to use a protected for that. So I'd say you have to use those 3.
Right.
I would also protect.
So when you get into Duke, Lehkonen.
So I think I would protect Nichushkin, Lehkonen, and Ross Colton.
Yeah, when you consider
then,
what we paid.
Exactly. And then my last one that I would protect would probably be Ryan Johansson.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was sitting too. So I think that puts I'm not sure how many games they had to have played in the NHL, but that would suck. So we would probably end up exposing Cogliano. That leaves Joanne.
O'Connor.
That leaves Ben Myers, Logan O'Connor. Yep. That makes me want to puke because he is.
Oh, it's disgusting. That would mean Miles Wood, like you said. Yeah, there'd be a lot of good guys.
And then it gets even more disgusting when you get to the defense.
For defense, which we'll get to. But as far as your 7 forwards, do you agree with that, or would you change a couple? What would you?
No, that's pretty much where I sit. I mean, it's wild that I don't know that most teams can just name the top 7 as their core. And, short, maybe Ross Colton and Johansson. We haven't seen them yet. But, I mean, we essentially have 5 people that are just a no-brainers. And I don't know that teams have 5 people that are no argument, not willing, and then still have people beyond that it's very.
It really is.
It hurt that much. It hurt, but it wasn't a huge emotional loss. And that was even with losing some other players, but it would be a tough time to lose some people, especially when we're a team built on really solid contracts. Very, very well thought out, well planned contracts.
Yep.
Because for some of the teams, it's a blessing to lose some of these people.
Well, and that's just the difficult thing about when you get a team like this, especially should the expansion have happened like this offseason with all the moves that you made and stuff like that. You became a very deep team. And then someone, now granted, they only will take one.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. They'll only take one of them, but to leave that many exposed, and that would be like, oh, you don't think I'm good enough for the team? There could be a lot of those things that linger in the back of their mind.
Me so sad, and you have to wonder what those kind of talks are when they're like, "This is where we are. This is why we have to." And even in the most justified circumstances, there has to still be poor feelings at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so defense, you can only keep 3 out of the 6, so half are on the chopping block.
My soul.
Now I know, right? So this is where it really hurts because you don't want to lose a single one of them, right? Regardless. However, Cale Makar is a no-brainer keep, right? That's a protect. I would think Bo Byram is your next keep.
Yeah.
And even though he only has 1 more year remaining on his contract, I would still protect Devon Taves.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one because Josh Manson was the other guy I was thinking of as far as protect. However, I feel like you have a shot to keep Taves for longer. Yeah. Exactly. I wouldn't want to run that risk of Devon Taves. We let him go. We leave him unprotected. They do end up picking him up. And he, we would probably tell him like, hey, it's just for 1 year. We do want you back, but unfortunately, because of for money or whatever reason that it is, they say we'll let you go. But he ends up liking. Yeah.
And I don't mean this like in a negative way, but who wants Josh Manson right now? He's played like a third of the last 2 seasons. So I mean, they're not usually looking to start teams off injured, but that puts us losing beloved Jack Johnson, which say what you will about him, but the dude is clearly valuable. I mean, we've gone out of our way to bring him back and keep him. McDermott, I mean, I suppose there's somebody, it's a painful loss, but he's definitely more of an emotional attachment at this point. And then obviously I think we protect oh my God, Georgiev, because
Georgiev for goalie. Yep.
if we keep him, especially if we go through and win the cup, he's going to be the most valued contract next to Cale Makar's contract within the league. And he might not even have to play like a superstar to do that. But I just can't see us protecting Francouz over him, because that's not
Well, and here's the silver lining to that. That's very true. Here's the silver lining to that, though, with Francouz, is I don't think an expansion, this fantasy expansion that we're having, I don't think anyone would pick him for the goalie, because there are other goalies out there that would probably have to be left exposed, because they are kind of one of those, I guess, casualties. So I think even though you're leaving him,
the league runs in tandem, there's
exactly
a good second
with
1A,
really
1B
good tandems
that are a lot healthier. While I think Francouz is top tier, but
so I think leaving him exposed actually doesn't hurt. But that's just it. Is you, like I said, you don't want to lose a single one of these guys.
Not really.
And it's just business, right? But boy, you hate to say, hey, we're putting you on the chopping block,
right. Yeah.
But that's why I'm not a real GM, because I would be brought to tears just to try to tell that guy, hey, we're putting you out there, we're leaving you exposed.
Yep. I would never sleep at it. It would be awful.
Exactly. And speaking of GMs, that kind of rolls into the next topic that we wanted to talk about. Is, say you, Brit, are the GM.
Are you saying
I'm saying you need some work in the GM realm. No, I'm kidding.
Fair enough.
So put yourself in Joe Sakic's shoes or Chris McFarland's shoes. What does it take as the Colorado Avalanche to keep players for life, where they become career Avalanchemen the entire time? And obviously that's going to be one of them. But you have guys like Sakic, you have guys like Milan Hajduk, who played their entire careers on one team, that team being the Avalanche. What needs to happen in order for that to come to fruition for guys like Nathan MacKinnon, who his career is not done, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar, who something could go terribly wrong and all of a sudden he demands a trade out, right?
Yeah.
What can happen? What to do to retain?
I think that, every player is obviously going to have their different reasons for signing longer contracts, and a lot of it is going to depend where their contract falls within their career as far as re-signing. But I think the biggest basis of people that stick around long time generally derives from a strong foundation within the front office leaking all the way down. And I know that's like trickle effect, blah, 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 but it does. And that is one thing that the Avs have been fortunate to build with, especially when you consider starting with Waugh, kind of that rebuilding. They seem to have a very strong foundation. When you consider the nuke situation, how they kept that under control and under wraps, they clearly operate in a very tight ship. And I think that that's the foundation, because if you don't like your upper management, you're not going to last. And then I think it comes down to your coaches, your facilities, things like that. And I think that something that I've played in the Avs practice rink, and it is like not good. I think that's something that we really need to get out of the way. The windows were so fogged, we couldn't even see out. It was really bizarre to think that this is the rink that these guys are practicing on. While it's not awful, but when you consider some of the other facilities that are around, I think that's definitely, if there are things to improve on, probably one of them. And then the next thing is just going to come down to availability and money. And I think that it's going to depend a lot on each individual player. My biggest concern being Sir Mikko Rantanen, who we know is willing to hold out to get his bag. And if he plays anything this year like he did last year, he's one of our bigger named free agents coming up, and he's going to get paid, and he deserves to get paid. But I was listening, I'm not sure if you listened to the interview with I think it was Fitzgerald. Is he the Flyers' new GM? Flyers' new GM, I think. But he was talking with these teams, they're building it, and you just can't have every guy demand every extra penny, because then you just don't have that leftover money. And that's how we were able to build our Stanley Cup team is by having those extra dollars. So
Yes.
I'm honestly pretty worried about the Rantanen signing. I just hope that he takes a little bit of a hometown discount, whatever that looks like. It's obviously going to depend with the cap going up, but him and Tays. But really, I just think it comes down to the foundation, and I think that they've got that right. And then the next in line is the money. So we'll see. Mikko's the one that worries me. I'm very curious to find out what Tays prioritizes in the next signing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like to keep any given player, right? Money obviously does talk. That's kind of one of the reasons why people go other places. You take Philip Grubauer, for example. He went where Seattle would flash whatever wad of cash, and he took off, right? So money obviously is like one of the driving factors. However, if there are a couple things that make money, I don't want to say less important, but it just no longer becomes the main focus for a player to stay on a team like the Avalanche. And my go-to response is actually success in the season.
Yes.
How well you did. And you take, for example, Matt Duchene. Obviously there's a lot of issues as far as his overall happiness, but a big contributor to that. A big contributor to that is that we weren't making the playoffs. We weren't doing good.
You cannot. These guys
exactly
their whole entire life at every level
exactly
they were touched.
Right.
And they were so bad.
Yeah, and so Duchene said, "I'm done. I'm sick of losing. I came to win a Stanley Cup. I want to win a Stanley Cup." And obviously, the bad blood kind of boiled over. Salt began to pour everywhere, and obviously,
want to take me back this season.
Exactly. And the rest is history. And then we ended up winning that trade, winning the cup, and Duchene at least went to a cup. So everybody wins, right?
But there's bad blood, but I'm over it because I get that. And he was supposed to be the savior. So if the savior hates us too, then
there you go.
Where are we going?
Instead, we got a dog named Nathan McKinnon. He ended up being that guy
from there. And I feel so bad that you have to imagine the guy like loses sleep at night, at least occasionally, over how
it's in the back of his mind.
You need to think that your exit was the start of everything getting better.
The success trail of the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, like, I mean, it really wasn't like him leaving, but it really did lead to all the things that led to this.
Yep. So. And that's just it. He's just one player, just like many others who you brought him in, didn't work, he left, right? Just happened to be the types of terms. But going back to that discussion about success, I feel like that's a lot of why players decide to go one place or another is because it's like, oh, do I have a chance to win the cup with this team? Can I play more hockey with this team? Right. So as soon as, and this is kind of where I will address the Mikko Rantanen situation, is I think winning the Stanley Cup, I don't want to say almost guaranteed that Mikko Rantanen will stay alive longer, but it sure helps in that argument saying, look
especially
what you did
when he's
with this
a maniac
team.
Competitor. Like
exactly, right? So I think with the cap going up and that kind of stuff happening, I feel like an agreement can be reached relatively quickly. It is in the back of my mind, kind of like with what you said, where he's held out before. He could do it again.
But also last year, I think he finally attained a next level of respect where he probably feels respected in a different way than he did back then, because he could have gone somewhere else and been the guy at some point.
Exactly.
Or at least in his mind, he knew he could. But I think he knows that we truly respect him as, a differently than prior.
Yep. So I would say that would be one additional point of view to look at, obviously, is your success during their tenure here, right? A third one, so money, success. The third one, kind of like with what you alluded to, is the community. Yes. Where, who are you living amongst? What can you do? What has the area, speaking of Denver, right? What has that had to offer, right? You have people like Tyson Barrie, who have been now 4 years removed since they've been traded, right? But he's still comes back to Denver. He's still, I think he hasn't sold his home. I think he still has a home in some capacity here. Right?
I thought of you the other day when I was looking at the stats while they were talking on one of my shows. Tyson Berry finished up his Colorado career at a -59. Like, geez, Tyson.
Yeah, he did. But hey, he broke records along the way, so I don't want to hear it. Okay.
I just don't understand why we just didn't get Tyson Berry back. I feel like he has been way too cheap.
He was at his best hockey with Colorado, and I will die on that hill.
But when I heard that, I couldn't help but giggle. I was like, "Bring back -59."
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna fight anyone who says we don't need him back.
That's fair.
Anyways,
I'm all for bringing the band back.
But like, exactly right. But you have
Colorado community.
You have those players that the community has affected them. Like Devon Taves, he is really etched deep in the community. He's got the Devon Taves Foundation.
Come for leave is like that had to be a hard choice for him.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like just selling the town that you're in, it pays dividends.
And when you consider like compared to the coast, like taxes, just even if you're looking at money wise, I mean, it's not Florida, it's not tax free, but the cost of living a lot cheaper than a lot of the places that you might want to go. And the general, it's not Canada, so you're not going to be taunted. I mean, the Colorado media is about as gentle as a media could get, honestly. I mean, our writers are some of the sweetest, most
awesome,
protective.
They're awesome.
Yeah, it's not that like brutal, in your face, constant. I mean, some gnarly media out there, especially in like when you look at Montreal and Edmonton and Toronto. There's a lot of people, hometown boys from Toronto will not play in Toronto because like Brian O'Reilly's like, get me out of here.
A lot of media pressure and expectation, right? Whereas in Denver, right, you have Mark Mosier, Mark Rycroft, Kyle Keefe, all those guys, especially in that broadcast storefront, that they just kind of, they're just your friend. They're your buddy, right? And, you had people like Nazem Kadri and Jack Johnson and all those guys that would just kind of like have their arm over their shoulder as they're doing an interview, and I don't want to say that loses the professional touch.
Like, why are you so pissy?
Exactly, right? So just it's a very fun, upbeat atmosphere, and obviously, we're selling the team right now. We're doing a great job, I think, but I think that does play a really important part as far as who you're surrounded by,
just for quality of life. And it's not like these guys are considering that as much as they are money, and what we're willing to offer them at the time.
Yep. So that being said, if you do want to have a better surrounding area and stuff like that, like you alluded to, you do have to have a better practice facility, because it is called like a family skating center or something like that.
There's a arcade and a rock climbing wall, and it smells like a swimming pool, and it's like, this is the Colorado Avalanche facility,
and it's way outside of town.
Yeah, I mean, it looks beautiful from the outside, but then you get inside and you're like, holy crap, like the locker room.
And granted, I think that's where the Broncos practice, near that area too.
Yeah, is it Monument is what it's called, I think. And it's this really big, awesome building. Or no,
it's just called Family Sports, Family Sports Center.
Monument was the other one that we played at, I think. Because we played at a couple different rinks. We had to switch to the Family Sports Center last minute. And there was like, and granted, it was a tournament in July, but like there was like fog on the ice, and like and you can see it when there's a guy that I followed pretty closely. I can't think of what his name is, Brandon something, and he posts lots of pictures, and like you have to be standing above to watch it because it's hot and humid and gross in there, and it's not where Cale Makar should be working on being the best skater in the world.
Yep, you look at facilities. And like the two most recent teams probably have the best practice facilities, that being Vegas and Seattle. To me, they brand new, state of the art, all that kind of stuff. It's like you get that for Colorado, you've just shored up the back end of your franchise.
For Toronto, that does exist, is they have the best of everything, and it's not like the owners aren't willing to spend money on their teams. So it just seems like it's a matter of getting it done. I'm not sure, but I do believe it is in the future, but I think that is a pretty big factor.
Yep, I totally agree. So a lot of things as far as what to do to keep a franchise player a franchise player. Obviously money, their success, and the community. Those would be my three. So let us know as far as your guys' comments. We'd love to hear. Obviously, like we said, we're actually live this week, which is great. I know Ray had that question in the comments section. So let us know if there's anything that you would add as far as what you would do to keep a player for the Colorado Avalanche for their entire career. Okay, now to a fun one. This one's going to be really fun. So,
because I actually disagree on something.
So there was another discussion that we had as far as the Colorado Avalanche, and obviously there are many jerseys behind us, as you can see. The question is, Brit, with the Colorado Avalanche, what jerseys are the best and which ones are the worst in franchise history? And we'll talk about I know obviously I have a Nordiques one here, but do we want to go into the Nordiques or do we just want to do in Colorado Avalanche history?
I mean, I think we can both acknowledge that we both freaking love the Nordiques jerseys. And I don't think, is there anyone that doesn't? I mean, I think that they're a universally, I think I put like the Nordiques Whalers jerseys like pretty much on the same level. I think that's those are kind of the two GOAT jerseys of the past. Or am I biased on that? I don't think so. But I think that the Whalers Nordiques jerseys, we can kind of toss those in with the reverse retros too. But
Sure. So for those of you who are not aware, the Colorado Avalanche clearly have the best home and away combos on planet Earth. Home jersey with a beautiful maroon and blue with gray piping down the sleeves, right? And we're gonna go into a bunch of them here in just a second, but we just want to make sure.
Touch on the powder blue too. The powder blue, getting into the gloves and the helmets and the blacks. And a lot of arguments on that.
That's right. And then obviously the numbering. These are blank backs. They have blue numbering on the back and then white numbering for the home on the front.
Are you saving yourself for something?
What's that?
Are you saving yourself for something, that jersey? What's the who's
I wear well, that's just it. So quick side note. I cannot bring myself to get a number on the back. Any player on the back. I just can't do it unless it's someone like you for a fact they have retired. They're not, Joe Sakic, Ray Bourque, all those guys. I just can't do it because it's like I don't want to wear someone who's no longer on the team, right?
I have two Andrew Ghetto jerseys, so I don't have the same problem.
You got Sven? Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yes.
Yep. I'm lame and yep. So it's difficult for me to do. It's a pride thing. I don't know. I'm weird.
Yeah.
But
we got energy.
There you go. So
I'm lucky that I have a child named McKinnon, so I will forever always have a reason to.
That's just it. So should I get over that and stop being such a wuss? Yeah.
When we went to the outdoor game, my little brother has one of the jersey hoodies, and it's a Duchesne one, which everybody's like, what the hell do we do with all these freaking Duchesne jerseys? Well, he took the D-N-E off the end, so it just said Douche, D-U-C-H.
There you go.
And then people stop constantly to take pictures with his.
That's funny.
How many douches are walking around in Colorado now after my little brother expired?
I love that. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me add this to the stream here. So this here is NHLuniforms.com. They have an entire database of just uniforms, and it is a beautiful thing. And they have things like you see the Atlanta Flames. They got the Thrashers. They even have like the Cleveland Barons, like all kinds of stuff. But this has every uniform.
Have an underwhelming array of jerseys. Like you go to like
I know it has
so many more.
It has not changed a whole ton in these years. But Britt, I want to know as far as let's do least favorites What was a jersey that you just couldn't stand?
You know, they're all pretty okay. I just don't love the I don't even
Yeah,
know
you
what the
tell me
name
the
is. The
year.
C and the triangle. It's not my favorite. The
The alternate that we have right here.
Yeah, I just don't love it. And I don't know, I don't hate it. Yeah, I just wouldn't buy it though. It's not my favorite. I think that this year's reverse retro is like kind of a better take on the C, but yeah, I just don't love that jersey. I think I have one of those for Mac, but I've never had any desire to specifically buy that jersey.
Interesting. Very
And I
interesting.
don't love the Breezers like combo with it either. It's just really dark and bulky, and I don't know. I don't love it.
Sure. I can respect that. What else? What's another one that you're like, just missed, just a miss.
Well, okay, so at first last year's reverse retro was like possibly the one that I liked the least, but it grew on me a ton. Especially after I saw people actually wearing it, and then once I saw it on the ice, I was like, oh, like it's pretty on the ice.
They redeemed themselves with that short in the bucket. Absolutely.
Yep, and the socks, like it was so crispy.
The numbering.
They've really hit it out of the park lately with like their shadowing of numbers on the reverse retros for most teams. But the Avs, like that powder blue on the Nordiques reverse retro, oh man, the numbering, the coloring is so good. But yeah, I'm just not a blueberry hater, if that's what you're getting at. I don't hate blueberries
nope.
at all.
That is not what I'm getting at, believe it or not.
I think that the newest reverse retro and the alternate are probably my least favorites. I mean,
okay.
I think that we could get a better logo altogether if we're being perfectly honest. Our home jersey logo I like it, but it's very 90s.
Interesting.
Yeah, so maybe that's a hot take, but not get rid of it. I just really, and I'll kind of bust this into why I don't like it. I really wish that they would just dive in on that Yeti foot. There's got to be some kind of trademark thing keeping them from going hard on the Yeti foot, because everybody loves the Yeti foot.
Let's see. That would have been. Let's see. Nope. Wrong iteration. Where's the Yeti foot? Are we still
here?
Yeah, there you go.
On my Chris Drury. But yeah, I just don't understand why. And even the Yeti foot with the powder blue would be so good. And I think we had it on the shoulders last year, didn't we?
Last year, no, we didn't have. I don't think we had Yeti foot. I think we just stuck with the alternate C.
So dumb.
This guy right here. I think that was still the shoulder
patch.
I
like the Yeti foot so much more. I don't know, and I just don't know if I'm the weirdest. With that, but I've never heard anybody talk poorly of it.
Sure. Okay, so I have 3 least favorites, and I say this in a very pandering way. Let's go. The year is 2004. You're wearing the Rangers mulberry jerseys with the black pants and the black buckets. To me,
the black is gnarly.
Just the time when they exactly. So just this wasn't working for me. Now granted, I have no business saying that because obviously I wasn't watching the team at the time. But going back and watching stuff like in the old film room and stuff like that, and seeing those, I was not. It looks not
so. Good. It looks just really like bendery, like just really. Like 90s. I don't know. Exactly. I can't even think of the word.
Exactly. So I would say number 1. Excuse me. Is the I guess mulberry color sash pattern idea. Now that being said, I would like to see a white version of that in a reverse retro. I was on a podcast called Here in Puckburg where we talked about that before the reverse retros were released, and I thought a white one of these would be really good.
I just love that style is like really like high school reminiscent feeling. It's got those like vibes.
Yep, it absolutely is. Number 2, believe it or not, is the simple home away combo that they had where there was not the mountain-esque bottoms on either end of
Yeah.
the jersey, right? So you can see how the piping just goes straight down and
Yeah.
that's it, right? Like in other years and stuff like that, you can see obviously they brought it back where there's something on the bottom there with the blue
Yeah.
up here and the red down there. But this particular time frame did not have it, and I wasn't having it either, man. I'm
No,
just like they're just not
it's
good,
crazy how much it adds. It adds a lot to the jersey, I think, especially in breezers. Like, it adds a lot to the whole entire appeal for a better flow.
It absolutely does. So, and that was just it. As I was looking at it, I was like, I can't believe there was all that time that we had black helmets and black shorts to go with that color combination, because
I know.
obviously you
Don't
see
get
what they
caught
have
trying too hard,
now,
guys.
and it's just like we should have been running that color scheme the whole time. It just
Right.
looks that much better, that much cleaner, you know. So like I said, nothing against that jersey, but it's just, you know, the lack of the bottom and top there is just
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
third one, and this is where I really want the comment section to be nice to me, because it is not the popular pick. I have to give it to the least favorites on the Stadium Series 2016. That being said, the only reason why I give it this, the black was not necessary. You had a chance to go white shorts, you had a chance to go blue or red, blue preferred.
Yeah, I was gonna say just
and
go
you
right
missed.
into that blue. Yeah, it's
You missed, and I think that drew away completely a fantastic and otherwise fantastic jersey.
especially at a time. So that was 2016, and so like
Right, that was
people
when we were
really
still
started
using
to
black.
dive into like really gaudy. I think not gaudy, but just experimenting a little bit more. I mean, did they only make black and white breezers in Colorado? I mean, is that the issue? Because
I
you've
don't
got
know.
Detroit wearing bright red breezers, bright red helmets.
Mm-hmm.
The Devils had those great breezers. Weren't the Ducks were wearing like bright orange breezers at this time?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't know why we were so stuck in black and white when we're really black is not even one of the Avs colors.
Yep. And like I said, I understand because there's some black trim around the collar and around the bottom, and obviously the C center has black. So obviously that was kind of what they were going for. I just feel like you just shouldn't have, you know.
Yeah.
You should have drawn from the blue or the maroon, heck, even the silver, maybe, you know. And that just to me,
or something even on there too, like break it up.
Exactly, just throw a little bit more something in there. But like I said, the jersey itself, I don't have much complaint. It's a great jersey. I wish I have one right now at this point in time, but it's the black lids and the black shorts that killed it for me. Okay, that being said, now that the sour notes are taken out, let's go to favorites real fast, and then we'll kind of get to our last couple of items. So, Britt, what about favorites? What were ones that you just said these are classic? These are ones that should stay on the shelf forever.
So I go back and forth, and it's kind of a tie. I am. If you know me in my real life, you have seen me in this jersey like over and over again. I basically live in, and I'm just saying right now, like if you want to fight about it, I will meet anyone and fight anytime over this jersey because I freaking love the Stadium Series jersey. And we went to that game and like I specifically like sought one out and wanted it. And then once I realized that like everybody else hated it, it just blows my mind. I absolutely do not understand it at all. It was they looked so good on the ice. My dad bought Burkowski's helmet. So we've got Berkey's helmet and gloves.
Oh, really?
And so I coach in those now. And that was when I wasn't sold on kind of that blue switch and just, I just don't, honestly, I swear, just call me. I'll fight anyone over this jersey. And then my other one, and I feel like this is just such a gimme, but the reverse retro, the first one, the Nordiques, just seeing it on the ice, there is
Mm.
like the breezers, striping on the breezers, the helmet. It's so simple and like understated, but it's just, it blows my mind that like they didn't win all of the votes for the best jersey. I would, if they told me that they're switching to this entirely tomorrow, I'd be like, sweet. My only
I'm buying 6. Yep.
with the Avs logo is like, and I think it might be kind of like a woman thing, but the logo of the Avs like just stabs me constantly. Like when I sit down, because they're all so big, it's a bit weird. So I hate that the A is such a big blocky logo that I would love to switch to something that was a little more movable on the like on your actual body. But yeah, I just and I just don't understand too why they won't just pump out 35 variations of these and sell the shit out of them. I just don't get it. Like, and
Yep.
I'm worried to see. So apparently Fanatics gets to keep the Adidas, like they're doing all the same printing and stuff, but was it the designers from Adidas? Because to me, this is like jersey perfection, like absolute elite. Touches all different variations of taste, like the old guys, the new guys, the young guys, the freaking rappers in music videos wearing this jersey. Like it's just such a good jersey.
Yep. One of my biggest regrets in life was not shelling out the money to buy one of these, and I don't think I will ever get one ever again, unless it's some absolute cheap knockoff, which I'm too prideful to do.
I'm not.
I need to not be, but unfortunately I am, because I'm, a loser. But this
but they made it impossible. Like,
yeah, and it's like you need to keep pumping those things out because for time and all eternity. You know what I mean? Just
take all
everything about this jersey is perfect, and I will shout that from the rooftop with you, Brit. This is the greatest hockey jersey to ever be produced in the game of hockey, period.
And that's like, I have no attachment to the Nordiques. Like, I mean, I have an attachment, obviously, but it's not like some nostalgic feel good thing for me. It's just a great freaking jersey. Like, you don't have to love the Avs or the Nordiques to appreciate it.
Exactly. Yep. So if this became like their permanent alternate jersey for a good chunk of years, I am A-okay with that.
Yeah.
Right. Another favorite of mine. Let's head over to when they first began. The home jersey back in 95, 96. Now, granted, there's a couple tweaks here, so really I could just say kind of late 90s, whatever, but the home jersey here was something special. You know what I mean? It just had the big zigzags, the numbers with the how they
all
had
the
kind of
stuff
those,
of the 90s.
Exactly, right? Now, obviously, there's the black shorts, black what, but just the jersey alone, it was something, So I think Britt, you probably have one.
Yeah.
Yep, right, just right there.
Yeah.
Yep. The numbering, which they never should have gone away from, So I would say the home jersey from 95, 96 is another favorite of mine that I'm just like, you need to keep that. You need to do something, go back to that. I don't know. And then the last favorite of mine, believe it or not, let's head to the present day, and it's actually going to be this guy right here, the one that the one that you said is giving you the ick. It's giving me the thumbs up.
I don't know why. It looks, I like it more when it's on them with the breezers with the white down the side, and it ties it together well. But for me wearing it jersey, it's just not, I don't know. It's just the logo on the front. I like everything else about it.
Nope. I can definitely, like I said, I understand, because there's a lot of just one coloredness going on.
Yeah.
So I could definitely understand that. But to me, I was just like, there's just something about it just draws me toward it. So I would probably give it to those three. I mean, the unanimous winner, like I said, is this. There's no question about it. But
then also, you and I are in agreement that we love the blueberry jersey. And as Allie said, she does too. That is kind of like, is it a polarizing topic amongst Avs fans? Like, it's like,
I don't know. I feel like it could
be a lot of tweeners.
Yeah, I feel like it could be. But
The people
honestly,
that
like
hate
I
it
said,
really, really hate it. It's just not
it
that
was,
bad.
and that's the thing is it was the sass, just like those mulberries that I couldn't stand,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
for some reason, you flip the colors and add a little bit of striping out here and there and whatnot, and the jersey itself was just phenomenal,
Yeah,
right?
and
Now, granted,
the
I
white
know
spots on it so much better.
it does, right? So like I said, having something similar to this would actually be really cool. I wouldn't mind it in the slightest,
No.
right? So, anyways, let us know in the comments, or DM us or message us, however you want to get a hold of us. Let us know as far as your favorite
I always love all
uniforms.
jersey discussions. Like, I absolutely hated the Florida reverse retro with the palm tree hockey stick crossing,
Oh,
and
you're kidding
I
me.
absolutely hated it. And it's just so
Flip
weird
me.
how I know people just don't like vibe
Shame
with
on
the
you.
same thing. And I literally might be the one person that was just like, I could have made that. I just feel like it was so, maybe that's the beauty of it, is that it's so
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I always love, so give
Mm.
us jersey hot takes too, because that's fine. And I think that if I were to jump ship on the Avs for whatever reason, I might jump ship to the Coyotes just so I can wear their crap. All of it. I want all
They
the jerseys.
we
I want the
have
Phillies
we
old
have a
stuff.
lot of Coyotes jerseys because
God,
they produce, just it seems
all
like
of
their
it.
production of jerseys is never bad. It's great.
Kemper's, his pads. Oh my gosh, I'm having the biggest brain fart. What's their what's their guy called?
Kachina?
Yeah, his Kachina pads. I just like go through and like look at pictures of the various Kachina goalie gear. It's almost enough to just make me a Coyotes fan entirely.
Oh, well, if you want to see one of the best pad combos on planet Earth, you need to do their Desert Knights combination and go look at Ingram and Vamelka's combinations. Oh my
Were
gosh.
those the red ones?
Those are the all maroon ones, and they have like on
Yes,
the shorts, they have the cactus outlined in that cream
yes,
color.
those were
Oh,
disgusting. Whoever, and like I loved that jersey too, that Arizona with the fancy
I
fun A.
love
Like
those.
they have been making gold for years. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, for God's
Mm-hmm.
sake, put a winning team in that stuff, because it's so good.
Anyways.
Illuminati, Ray, that is exactly, I never thought. So Ray here says, I see
Okay.
that. And I don't know, maybe it's just, it
The
totally,
Colorado Naughty.
the Colonati. I never tied that
Colonati.
together. I don't know why, but it's always just been that logo that doesn't vibe with me right. But yeah, give us the hot takes, because I like them all.
Yep. Ray,
I
you gotta trademark that name. Colonati.
right.
Better
We are
start patenting that now, buddy.
the founding members from a distance.
There you go. But yeah, let us know, everyone, as far as your jerseys. We could ramble on about this, but we got to move on,
Holy
unfortunately.
cow, I know. I didn't. I
But
thought these
let
were
us
going to
know.
be six.
Let us know. And again, you were not in any sponsorship or whatever with these guys, but
We're willing to be sponsored
NHLuniforms.com.
by jersey.
We'd love it. Don't get me wrong.
Me and jersey.
NHLuniforms.com. They have every team
It's a
there,
good database.
existing or not, any team that has played in the NHL, they got it. So you
And I
guys go
love
ahead.
that they show you the matching gear too, because that's a game changer.
Because that's important. So go ahead and check that out for yourselves, guys. I'd love to get your guys' feedback on it. But we're going to go ahead and move on here. So that being said, we got two more things here. We got a Hockey 101, and then we got our player spotlight that we held off from last episode, which was held on Thursday. I'm really excited for it. I have been on pins and needles for like 3 days waiting to hear it. So let's actually get into that first, and then obviously we'll just quickly wrap it up with Hockey 101. So Brit,
okay. So I'll try to make it brief. I feel like I say this every week. So we had Gabe Landeskog, and I'm like, this is one of my favorite, most underappreciated people. And then we had Josh Manson. I'm like, this is one of our favorite people. So now we're moving on to one of my other most favorite people, most underappreciated, most underdiscussed, underrecognized. Like I said, the one that I worry that might get taken in an expansion, or in some kind of sacrificial, someone might love him the right way and give him, more than we're capable of, is Sir LOC, Mr. Logan O'Connor. nicknamed the Loch Ness Monster sometimes. I love that. Every time that I remember that he's 6 foot tall, it always weirds me out because he seems like a 5'10" guy to me. He doesn't seem that big, but he's 6'5", 175. So just to go through his youth really quick, he was the son of Miles O'Connor, who did play in the NHL. He only had 43 games. He was a 3rd round draft pick by the Devils in 1985. His dad is, I read a lot of quotes and stuff from him, and his dad was a very insightful person. His entire family, LOC is quite the shit talker, and he's always panting and sweating and spitting. And then in the locker room, he's loud and fun. He's got to be the most graceful guy when it comes to doing interviews and stuff. He seems to always be willing to tolerate anyone and any question. Definitely a locker room guy, which also seems to be a recurring topic with these guys. But his dad, I think that LOC doesn't really talk about himself a lot. And a lot of the stuff that I found, and I feel like the most information that I gain about him is by reading what others have said about him. And there's just a lot of things that his dad said that kind of help you understand the mentality that he grew up with. His dad talked about when he was 8, he added weights to his skate. They had an outdoor rink in Calgary. So he was 8 years old. So that's a year younger than my son, which blows my mind. Outside skating relentlessly, adding weights to his skate, and then going and doing the same thing at his actual team practice later in the day.
Wow.
He was just a relentless child. So I usually do my kind of funny story at the end, but I figured I'll insert this one here. But it's just hysterical to me. So apparently he was obsessed with hockey, which is weird when you listen to a lot of NHL players and they're like, yeah, I played football too. And then I decided when I was 15 that I was going to, hockey was, there seems to be a big difference in guys that bust their whole butt their entire life and are obsessed with hockey and they watch hockey in the off season. So LOC is kind of one of those types that consumed hockey relentlessly. He spent so much time on their outdoor rink that his siblings would get sick of him. And his dad said that there was many times that he forced his mom to play goalie for him because his little brother would not play hockey with him anymore. So he forced his mom to get out there and play goalie. And I just love that. That's the kind of family dynamic that I am really into. And his dad, just the way he talked, basically their family's motto was that the NHL doesn't owe you anything. Hockey doesn't owe you anything. He never made U14. He didn't make U16. He didn't make the All-Star teams. He was obviously never drafted in the NHL, which we'll get to that. He wasn't drafted in major juniors. He got his chance at Dev Camp in 2018 with the Avs, and he ended up signing an ELC. He was a depth player for DU going into his senior year, which is interesting because he ended up foregoing his senior year and he was actually going to be named captain that year, but he was still a depth player. So that kind of tells you when you're playing bottom 6 on a college team and you're going to be named the captain, what kind of person, what kind of presence you carry on the ice, off the ice, all around.
Yeah.
So to just kind of go into his Avs career. So like I said, he got a chance at Dev Camp. He was a junior in college, ended up signing the ELC. It was 2 years, I believe. And so that was in 2018-19. They had a big loss in Ohio State. And he didn't play. He was scratched for a lot of the playoffs. He was very uneventful. He played, so that year that he came, he played 5 games from December 31st to mid-January. 0 goals, 0 assists, didn't do absolutely anything. As we all know, he spent the next 2 years up and down fighting for a spot. It's so weird to think that Logan O'Connor hasn't been an impactful player on this team for ever, because I feel like he made his way so fast and so hard. It was 21-22 season, just boom. He's still so young. So he went from playing 5 games with an average of 650 in ice time that first year. 21-22 season, he ended up playing 81 of 82 games, the highest number of careers, obviously. He had 8 goals, 16 assists. He had 100 hits and 59 blocks. And that's kind of tells you what we value in LOC. He is truly the epitome of the intangibles.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. 100
Jeez.
hits. And as we all know, he is the shorthanded king. He had 1 shorthanded goal, 3 shorthanded assists. He was averaging 14 minutes on ice. And the thing is, in the Stanley Cup run, he only had 1 goal and 3 assists in 17 games, but not a single Avs fan will tell you that what he did wasn't so crucial. And that's because he just he just epitomizes that role player who recognized their role and respects that. You know, you had
especially on the penalty kill.
Yeah, he wanted to model his game after Logan O'Connor. And it's like, dude, that's a big role to plan to fill because Logan O'Connor has essentially done nothing but bust his whole ass. He was it 2 even now, I think he still might be like the single lowest paid Avs player on the team, which is just wild. I liked that this comparison that he was like a sneaky fill-in for Mac because he's a right-hand shooter. He's fast as crap. Like I've said, I've confused him multiple times for McKinnon.
He skates like him.
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
I keep getting them confused myself. Yes.
Yes. But the nice thing about LOC is it's okay to let him release that unbridled fury, which is so weird to see him do, but his fights in his career, as we've discussed before, have been against Sir Ross Colton, and I think it's safe to say he lost it pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see how that.
Now they're buddies. Isn't that great?
Yeah, move forward. But like, so 2 little quick more tidbits that I really liked. I know that you love Troy Terry, and I love Troy Terry, and all I want is for a Troy Terry. They were roommates, Troy Terry, and
really?
They were roommates at DU, and it was the sweetest thing ever. I should pull it up so I can just read it exactly. And he just, when you have somebody like Troy Terry, who is kind of a grinder, buster, you know, he talked so positively about him. He said that it was really sweet. He says, I almost get emotional talking about it. I'm so happy for him. He just won't go away, basically. He just keeps working, and now he's built himself a huge role. I couldn't be more proud of him. And that's his whole entire life is he's just basically forced himself to be successful. And I love that. I hope that he can continue to be a big part of this team because it doesn't seem like there's many people, you know, more deserving as far as putting in the work and getting it and seeing the accomplishments, being an undrafted player to being, you know, a possible fill-in for Nathan McKinnon on a Stanley Cup team is pretty good. I really like it. But my last thing that I was going to touch on, and I don't know why I haven't heard about this. His family owns a suit shop. Did you know that his family?
Yes. And he brought the cup there.
Why? I don't know why I didn't know this. So it's been going for like 60 years. His dad works there. I loved in one interview, his dad referred to his time in the NHL as a cup of coffee. Like it's just whatever, you know, one of his stepping stones on the way through his life. So it's been in business for over 60 years. They moved. They're like a mile away from Scotiabank Arena, or the Saddle Dome, as some people in Calgary. And it used to be a Volvo dealership, so it's a big.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a really big building. Apparently, he never has had to work there full time, but he did get stuck with dealing with sorting car parts and stuff as they were moving into it. And yeah, so I just thought that was super interesting. And they also have a women's section. So if you were worried
there you go.
But yeah,
gotta go get ourselves fitted, Brit. Gotta take a trip up to Calgary, get ourselves fitted for some suits.
Vibes. Yeah, my suit collection is huge.
Just overflowing.
But yeah, it seems like just a really great family. Like as the Jost vibes, those families that even if hockey didn't work out for him, he was going to go somewhere anyway. And it sounds like their whole family pretty much has that tenacity from like his great grandparents all the way down. But yeah, I don't know how I missed the suit part. So I always learn something great about him. And that's what he does. He always looks very, which they all do, very good.
His suit game. Now you know why. His suit game is always on point.
Yep.
No, I love it. Thank you so much, Britt. Yeah, he brought the cup to that suit shop, and that's the only way I knew that he had it.
I don't think I ever saw his day with the cup.
Yeah, so I follow him on socials, right? So that's kind of where he was posting a lot of his stuff. But yeah, I was like, I can't believe it. And he took a tour. He's like, oh yeah, when I was first working here, we did this, and I was like, crazy,
He's
so
yeah,
cool, so cool.
he just seems like such a genuine person. The beat writers all love him. Like him and Newhook. I don't know what they're gonna do without Newhook to interview him between periods anymore.
Yeah, there are only, I think, 3 players that I go bonkers on when they score. One of them, unfortunately, is injured. That's Gabe Landeskog. The other is Curtis McDermott, and as everyone should, by the way, that's your Chrysler Town and Country scoring a goal. And the third one is Logan O'Connor, because more likely than not, because it's a shorty, and boy, is he one of the most crucial guys on that penalty kill.
It'll be interesting to see how that pans out this year, if him and Cogs and Wood, or what that's gonna look like, because
yeah, for sure,
real fun.
Yep. Another one that I loved, this is back a couple of years ago now, but when Abe Kubel, when he scored, that was fun too.
I know.
Thank you so much, Brit.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I can't believe just the unsuccess turned success. That isn't that just the greatest story?
The story of, I mean, he essentially had to fight
the
at
no quit attitude.
Level. Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of makes me feel like a bum, but maybe
it's like, then what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of penalty kill, kinda, we're gonna go right into now our Hockey 101 for this week, and we'll do it rather quick because we obviously we've gone over time. But this Hockey 101 lesson is going to be about the delayed penalty. So sometimes, and I think we've talked about this, but maybe not into this much of depth, but sometimes when you're watching a game, any hockey game, right, you'll see something like a hooker, slasher, trip, whatever it is, high stick, and all of a sudden the ref's arm goes in the air, but the play continues, right? And you might have been asking yourself, well, why didn't they just call it there? I thought that was a penalty. Why are they still playing? What's going on? Well, there exists something in hockey that I don't think exists anywhere else. I think maybe soccer has a kind of a delay, but not something to this extent. There exists this thing called a delayed penalty. And what happens is the offending team, let's say Brit, in her fit of rage, just took a stick to my knees and just whacked me, right, just deliberately. But I still had the puck. I was playing the puck and had it in my possession when it happened. The ref will raise his arm, right, and it'll stay in the air until either a goal is scored from our team or we lose possession of the puck. Right. And that's kind of the big point about a delay, is they will still award possession to the team that got drew the penalty until its possession is lost. Right. So that ref, there could be a tripping that happened, but the player still keeps with it, and they could have it for a good, 5 minutes afterward, until there's the play whistle dead for whatever reason, that kind of stuff. You'll see that a lot in hockey, delayed penalties.
Right. And so, what you're looking to do is not allow that penalty to disrupt an imminent scoring chance, or, if you don't want to be punished for the other team committing a penalty. It discourages those wild penalties to just stop the play immediately.
Yep.
And watch some 90s hockey is
exactly
the golden era.
That's exactly right. That was a time where it was like, have at it, boys, But exactly. So that'll happen a lot in games, right? Because penalties happen in all shapes.
Generally, you don't have possession of the puck when you're committing a penalty.
Most times, though, the possession kind of turns right over, so he'll just blow the whistle almost immediately. But there are those times where you keep possession after having drawn a penalty. I need to get that term correct. So what happens a lot of the time, this is kind of, I don't want to call it like strategy, but you're not losing anything by doing this. So as soon as that ref's hand goes up and you still have possession, you realize, oh, I drew a penalty. It's a delayed penalty. They will scream at that goalie, your goalie, to beeline it for the bench so you could bring a sixth man out there for that added time until, like I said, a goal is scored, play whistle dead, they get possession of the puck, whatever those three scenarios is. That way you can play a man up to try and score that goal. So most times
you can pull the goalie at any time, but the idea is you can pull your goalie because it doesn't matter if the other team shoots to score because the play is done the second that they've hit. But Nick, what has happened a couple times in history that has made a lot of people cringe so hard it physically hurt?
One of them or two of them just happened this last season, didn't they? To the Capitals, right? I think is what it was. So let's say you get a delayed penalty drawn. This is one of those downsides too. If you pull your goalie, most times people would, right? Because why not?
It's a rare hysterical occurrence.
The rare costly mistake, I guess I will call it. So let's say again, Brit in her fit of rage decides to trip me. I still keep possession of the puck. So we know a delayed penalty's coming because the ref has his hand in the air. Goalie comes off, sixth man comes on, our empty net. You have nothing to lose, everything's fine. But let's say a teammate of mine mispasses the puck to me, but I'm close to the blue line, and that puck,
and they pass it that hard.
It happens. It has happened. We can bring up replays. That puck sails past me, goes way across the ice and into our net. That is a goal for the opposing team.
Yep.
Right? Because we didn't touch it. And we didn't have any means to which the play could be whistled dead beforehand. So they are awarded a goal.
Sucks.
So be mindful of it. But it happens. So that's
their goalie is sitting on the bench, absolutely just
kicking himself. just kicking himself. It's so funny. And like I said, it happens. So that's the delayed penalty. If you guys have any other questions, obviously, about that, let us know. We can definitely help you out on that. But that is the brief explanation. As far as sometimes you'll see a ref just raise his hand and the goalie sprinting to the bench, you'll know a delayed penalty was called. Okay, so I think that'll wrap it up for this episode. Britt, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add or any tidbits of information. Okay.
No, just holler at me if you were going to take me up on fighting over the jersey. Still down.
That's right. I definitely won't. I'll be the first to admit. That's why I wore like my Grizzlies jersey, because I was I don't want to get in that argument. But no, definitely. Yep, and then call me up and if you want to talk about Tyson Barrie coming back or not coming back, I'll fight you. I might lose. In fact, I'll probably lose.
This is an irrelevant statistic at this point.
But I'll fight tooth and nail for him regardless.
I know. So, that's why I laugh.
Tyson, if you're listening to this, come back, buddy. I want you back. Okay, well that's gonna wrap it up.
We'll bring that plus minus back to earth.
There you go.
It's redemption tour.
Exactly it. He'll
be on the ice forever.
He'll be a new man when he comes back. That's exactly right. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you once again, everyone, for following along. I think next week we might go live on a different day. I know it's like the month that's kind of been mistreating me, but we'll try to go live on another time. But we will absolutely be back next week. That's more stuff. But guess what? It's 1 week closer to the regular season, which is good news for us.
We're getting some drama should start coming. People are.
Let's hope so. And good drama, though. Good drama, right?
Other people's drama.
Okay, so
really.
That's right, other people's. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows just like the Clusterpuck Podcast go live. You can also follow us specifically at the Clusterpuck Podcast on Facebook, and then Clusterpuck Avs on Twitter/X, Threads, and Instagram. With that being said, we hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And as always, go Avs, go.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.